Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Stress Less, Achieve More call. My name is Stephanie Matos. I'm a mindset coach here on the Brightly Thrive team, and we have already been chatting up a storm before we hit record here. But now that we have hit record and we are live, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me if you're watching the replay, and thank you for joining me, Jaime. So we were already chatting, and the thing that we were talking about is, and I think it's a great topic, which is how can you stay positive when things either aren't going your way or people are being mean to you or a situation's frustrating but basically these are all situations that you have zero control over. So there's nothing that you can do to change somebody's mind, or there's nothing that you can do to change the situation or whatever. And I think most people, actually probably 100% of people on the planet, experience this. We'll just say most people, just because I'm not sure if it's 100%. There might be one person out there that's like, I never experienced anything like this. But I would say most people have experienced this before. And it's very, very challenging and especially if you're the type of person who likes to fix things. Like I want this to be better. I want to fix things. I'm willing to try. I'm willing to do this, or I would like to know why, or whatever. And the other person or the other thing just isn't either budging or refuses or set in their ways or whatever it is. Then you're in a position where you have no choice but to accept the reality of what's going on, right? Now, actually, I take that back. You do have a choice. You have two choices. One would be to dwell on it, stay angry, upset, frustrated, overwhelmed, very, stressed out, like all of this kind of stuff. Or you can go, you know what, this isn't what I would want, but I've got to learn how to accept it. I've got to learn how to accept it, right? And when I say I've got to learn how to accept it, right? So you guys are teachers. I know Jaime is a teacher, and I know many people who are watching this are teaching, or you guys are teacher adjacent, right? So if you have a kid and you're like, learn this math problem, learn it, learn it, learn it, learn it, it might take a little bit of time for them to learn it, right? And so when I'm saying learn to accept it, it's not like an on off switch. So it's not like you just go from, I'm so angry or upset or sad or whatever about this particular situation. And then you flip the switch and all you're like, oh, everything's fine. I feel fine about it. I'm great. Right. So I think that is where, in a lot of different ways in mindset work, and even so, mindset is a part of anything that you want to accomplish and achieve. So whether that's weight loss or getting a new job or doing whatever it is, just anything that you can, having a great relationship with your friends and family, like whatever it is, it takes a certain mindset. And so when we have these specific mindsets, like we'll use weight loss as an example, because I think most of us either ourselves have tried to lose weight in the past, or we know people who have, right? And a lot of times it's frustrating because it doesn't happen like this. Right? So you don't start the diet today and then wake up, all like looking the way that you want to look the next day. It takes a long time to get there, right? And I mean, a long time is relative. I think it depends on the person, right? However, you have to maintain this positive mindset of yes, I can, yes, I can, yes, I can, yes, I can. So if you think no, I can't, well, then you're never going to change, because the first time somebody puts a cake in front of you, you're going to go, you know what, what's the point? I can't anyway. I might as well eat it. Right. But if you think I can, I can, I can, I can, when the cake comes out, you're like, nope, it's not worth it, because I know there's a future version of me who's going to be very, very proud I said no to this. Right? Like you tomorrow isn't going to be beating yourself up. It's like, oh, I shouldn't have eaten that cake. Right. And so this is no different than anything else. So with challenging situations that you don't have control over, it's important to practice self-love. So what would the loving version of me do? What would the loving boundaries be for this? This level of acceptance is so powerful, because the thing is that you don't have to like it, but you can learn how to accept it. It's like, I don't love the way that you talk to me, but I can accept that that's how you are. And what I have to do is protect myself from that. Right. So if there's somebody that is, let's say, saying mean things to me, right, in my life, I might say, I love you very much and I wish you well. And I hope you have an amazing life. However, I can't be around you because you will not honor my boundaries. Right. So that's the thing, is that oftentimes when we accept the thing as it is, that means that we then have to change the way that we are a little bit, right? Or not really change the way that we are, but put up boundaries around how much we engage with these certain situations. And acceptance is very much like learning a new language when it's something that is so obviously maybe a bad thing. Like, let's say, how can you think that what you're doing is okay? Or how can you think that that's okay? Or this doesn't make any sense to me. And it can feel really confusing. But what we have to understand is that everybody has their own viewpoint of life that's based on their belief systems. And so when people are doing things that don't make sense to us or whatever, usually there's a good reason to them. Right? Like, not necessarily to us. And that's where that acceptance comes in because we can't go in there and go, you change your mind now, or you change your ways now, or you do this now. We have to then go, okay, so if I can't change that, what needs to change in me so this no longer bothers me? Because I can't remember who said this, but it's like, being this way and being so frustrated is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. Right? It's like the more that we drink this poison of negativity and anger and all of this kind of stuff, the more sick we get. And then they just keep living their own lives or whatever it is the thing is that you're dealing with, right? Nothing changes anything except for your own happiness, health, wellness, excitement for life, joy, all of that kind of stuff, which that's not fair. And so if we really want to do this, we have to be willing to do what it takes in order to build the boundaries that are important and practice the mindset that's important, which is I don't like what you're doing. I accept it. I don't like this law or rule or governor or whatever, but I accept it because I can't change it. I can't go into, march myself into the, courthouse and go, you out of here. I don't like what you say. No, I will go to jail and I don't want to go to jail. So I can't do that. Right. So if we can let ourselves be a beginner, just like your students are with many things that you teach them, and let ourselves learn a new way of being around these certain things, then we become happier. So you know how you've probably heard of these people who man, all kinds of horrible criminals do horrible things to these people's families and horrible things. And what do? A lot of times they're like, I've forgiven them. People are like, how could you do that? Well, they don't forgive them for them. They forgive them for themselves because if they don't, they're going to get sick and feel horrible and never have another happy day. And that's not what their loved ones would want, right? So the people who got hurt or worse wouldn't want them to live a life like that. So when they forgive, that's actually them being kind to themselves, not the other person, right? Do you have any questions about this? Or is this all right, like making sense?
Yeah, make a lot of sense. I really like the idea of the poison that you
Yeah.
are drinking it but expecting the other person, because really, if you think about it, what's the purpose of getting all that negativity into our minds? I guess sometimes we expect that the situation will change itself.
The more
How would do
mad I
that?
get, yeah, okay, so
Mhm.
let's talk about this. So another thing that's like this, what you're talking about is like, so worry, right? A lot of us worry. We'll worry about our kids, we worry about our family members, we worry about politics, we worry about driving, we worry about all kinds of things, right? We worry about people that we don't even know sometimes, right? And so, what is so interesting about this is that worry is one of the worry, guilt, and shame are, and I mean, I think we could insert any of the negative emotions here, but let's just talk about worry, guilt, and shame. They are so pointless because nothing that we do inside of our minds, as far as worrying, is going to help anything. So if I'm worried about traffic, or if I'm worried about a person, are they going to heal? If I'm worried about somebody's health condition, are they going to heal? If I'm worried about somebody's eating, are they going to change? No. Like, this is the answer is no. But what worry does is it makes us feel. So have you ever, a rocking chair, right? So you can like go rocking, 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 and it feels like you're going somewhere or doing something, but really you're staying in the same place. And that's kind of what worry does. It's like look at me, I'm doing something, look at I'm changing something, I'm doing something, but really you're not doing anything and nothing's changing, right? And that's the same with frustration about somebody else or something else or whatever it is, or worry, guilt, shame, blame, annoyance, frustration. Like really the only person that suffers is you, because you're the only one that feels it. And let's talk about worry really quick. So I had one of my friends' moms, obviously worries about her daughter a lot, right? And I talked to her one day and she was like, "Oh, I'm so worried about this, this, that." And I was like, you don't need to worry about it, because the more you worry, it's not going to change anything. Either have a conversation or accept that things are the way they are. Do the best that you can to do what you can, but then drop the worry. And she said, "Well, if I don't worry, who will?" If I don't worry, who will, right? And I was thinking that's such an interesting question, because basically she's thinking, as the mother, that's what I'm supposed to do. Like I'm supposed to do this. That's my duty. I'm supposed to do it, right? And the truth is that that's not true. That's not true at all. And it's not that we can eliminate worry or eliminate fear or whatever. I think all of the feelings that God has given us are all meant to be serving a purpose, but when they become the main players in our mind, and when they become the theme of life or the theme of what we do or whatever, that's when we need to take a look at things. Um, just kind of talking about this really quick. What is really interesting about this, so I host other calls in other businesses, and one is an entrepreneur course, and so they're building businesses, all of this kind of stuff, a lot of stretching out of their comfort zone and doing things that they're scared of and all of this kind of stuff. And this woman said, I got into, gosh, what was the word that she used? um Oh, it was such a good word she used. I can't think of it. But anyways, it was grumpy, like in a bad mood, but grumpy, but she used a different word. And so what she was saying was that this happened and that happened and that happened and that happened. So there was a couple things in a row that happened that were all like, ugh, annoying, right? So because she didn't fix herself with the first thing and didn't think more positive with the first thing, this one layered on top of that and layered on top of that and layered on top of that and layered on top of that. So the reason why I bring this up is because essentially what happens is that if we start to think, feel, or act in a way for a long period of time, whether that's a day, a week, a month, or a year, it depends on the person. Um, what happens is that that way of thinking, feeling, and acting actually becomes a habit. So the very same way somebody might smoke as a habit, or chew their nails as a habit, or eat cookies when they're stressed as a habit, or whatever, so can the way that we feel. So what she was saying was that, I get in these funks or whatever she called them, right? And I said, we need to watch that, because what happens is that then the next thing happens and it stacks on this one and then it ingrains it more. And then that happens again and that happens again. So, but what is the antidote to that is, okay, so everything happens in my favor. Okay. So this is a little mantra or a quote, or whatever you want to call it. It's a belief that I have for myself. Okay. So many, many, many years ago, I used to be very negative, very sad, very depressed, like thought horrible things all the time, like all of this kind of stuff. And one of the things that really helped me so much was once I got kind of a little bit further along in my journey, I went, oh my gosh, a lot of the things that I was super upset about before actually became amazing. Has this ever happened to you? Where it's like, oh, this meeting got canceled. Oh, but now I can go do that. Yay. Or, you know what I mean? Or that house fell through, but now we got this one and I'm so glad we didn't get that one, or whatever it is. But at the time, it feels like a death or something. Like it feels like something horrible. And so once I wrapped my head around that, I realized, oh my goodness, everything's happening in my favor. So now, like, let's say if you're at the airport and your plane is delayed, that can be very stressful for people, very annoying. I mean, you've probably seen people raging at the airport, or at least online. Somebody videoed them and stuck them online because they were raging. And so this is the thing, is that I really have a powerful belief that when I get delayed in any way, it's saving me from something else. So if there's a traffic jam or something like that, I'm like, man, I guess I wasn't supposed to be a couple miles down. I don't know what's happening up there, but I'm glad I'm not there now. I guess I wasn't meant to get on that plane. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll sit here and wait happily, safely. I'm not getting on that plane. Thank you. You know what I mean? And so if you can start to flip everything into more of a positive thing, this can be super helpful because I'll give you an example too. So in this last meeting that I had, there was a woman who's going through a separation. So she's getting a divorce, and she's very, very sad. Sad time for her. She was talking about this in the call, and there was another lady, and she's like, "Can I just say something?" And I said, "Yes." And she's like, I think I heard, so and so say that they were going through separation. Is that right? And she's like, yes. And she said, I just want you to know I'm divorced. It's the best thing that's ever happened in my life. I'm so happy and blah blah blah. And we even get along well and we co-parent well and like it's the best thing that ever happened. So please know that there's like a light at the end of the tunnel for this. You can be happy on the other side, right? So we can look at it like, oh no, that's so sad and blah. And then this woman has a completely different perspective where she's like, this is the best. She even said, congratulations on your divorce, is what she said. She's like, I'm happy for you, or whatever. And it's like, somebody else might be crying and sad for her and all this. And then here she is happy, right? Well, which one's right? They're both right. It depends on which perspective you have, And so I think that if we can change our perspective on things and kind of shift our perspective on things and change the lens a little bit, zoom in on other things. And one thing that you said before we hit record too is that you said something about like being so focused on what's not going right or the negative. You didn't say exactly that, but you said something like that. And this is something else that can become a habit for us, is that we can oftentimes focus so much on the bad parts of life or jobs or friendships or relationships or whatever it is, that we lose sight of all the positive things. And so that is actually training your brain as well, where it's like, okay, so what I'm going to do is list. So this negative thing happened. I don't like that. I admit I don't like that. However, here's 10 things I do. Right? That one thing, I admit I don't like that, but guess what? I'm really, really grateful for this, and I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for this, and I'm grateful for that. See, so it's like it's actually flooding yourself with gratitude in the face of these things that are also going wrong, because you're also allowed to be annoyed. You're allowed to be upset sometimes. You're allowed to feel not the greatest about things. So it's not about always feeling good, 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 good all the time. It's knowing how to pivot more quickly. So what I've seen is the problem is not the actual feeling the emotions, it's how long we let them last. So sometimes it's like, people will have resentment for people for years. Or whatever. And it's like, okay, you're allowed to be mad at me, but I am not mad anymore. I wish you well. If you ever change, come around. Like, you know what I mean? But it's like you have to learn how to let things go. And I really had to learn how to let things go. I have a really good memory. Okay. And I have some friends that don't have as great of memories. And I'm like, I wish that I didn't remember everything the way that I do, because that is sometimes I feel like the thing that bothers me a lot is that I'm like remembering. But that's another thing that we do, is that we spend so much time in the past that we're not taking care of the present, right? So it's like bringing yourself back from the past to the present. Worry is about the future pacing. So bringing yourself from the future to the present. So a lot of times the other answer is acceptance, right? Turning your negatives into positives. And then I would say the third thing is, what did I just say? What was the last one? Oh, bring yourself to the present moment would be another one, because a lot of things that are bothering us are either happening in the past or the future. But really, the past is the past. It's already done. We can't change it. We don't have a time travel machine to change anything. So we might as well accept it. Future, we don't have a crystal ball to determine what's going to happen. So it doesn't even matter to think too far. I mean, it's good to plan and all of that kind of stuff, but you don't want to get hyper fixated on what might happen, because it might be completely something 10 times better. Right? Does that help? Does that help? Or was that interesting to you?
Yeah, definitely is very helpful to hear all those suggestions, and easy to apply if you think about it.
I love that you said that, because it is easy to apply. However, a lot of people don't do it. So
Mhm.
it's what is common knowledge, which I wouldn't even say this is common knowledge for a lot of people, but let's just use that terminology. What is common knowledge isn't always common practice, right? So
Yeah.
if we use even just drinking enough water, I think everybody on the planet, most people at least, know that they're supposed to drink a certain amount of water. I know a lot of people who don't, right? So even though they know it, they don't do it, or they know they're supposed to eat healthfully, but they don't. You know what I mean? So I would say that just because it's easy in theory, it's the practice that really makes the difference, and just sticking
Practice.
with it and reminding yourself, reminding yourself, reminding yourself. Very much the same way that you would do with your students. It's like, you know what, you got to learn your times tables, practice, 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 or these new words how to spell, practice, 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 you know, depending on what it is.
Yeah, just one time won't do it.
Oh my gosh, I know. That's like doing one sit up and going, "Where are my abs?" Like, I wish.
That would be
I
wonderful.
yeah, I would have a six pack right now, I'll tell you that. So this is exactly what it is. It's like building a new muscle, learning a new
Mm,
language, learning a new math problem. That's what it is, but it's just here instead. And that we have so much control over it that a lot of people aren't aware of.
yeah,
Yeah. So, anyways, thank you so much for joining me today. We've gone over time. That's okay. We
no
went
problem.
2 minutes over. So, anyways, awesome conversation today. Awesome topic. Thanks for bringing it up. Um,
Yeah.
hopefully, I get to see you again. I'll be back. I'm here tomorrow night, so in the evening. But I think it's like 4 o'clock Arizona time when I'm here. So it's 7 o'clock for me, but I think 4 o'clock for Arizona.
Yeah.
And I'll be back again on Thursday at my usual time. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
See
Hopefully,
you.
I'll get to see you again soon. All right. Bye.